Hello, trading has closed on July 11, 2016. My last call said there was a MEJT target of 2125.94. I said if we gapped up sharply, which we did, it was probably out of reach, but otherwise that and a lot more was the target. Well, we gapped up sharply, so no call. During the day, early on, MEJT said ultimately both lower and higher prices would print. The targets were hit. Usually this kind of action, the sell and the buy in the same pattern, leads to wishy-washy trade, and although it's usually confined just to early trading, we closed pretty much within these lines at the end of the day. Later on, MEJT said lower prices would print. Here's the target, and that printed. No new MEJT targets. Once again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, gapping up, hitting a bunch of new highs, and not being able to hold them is a negative pattern. Lower prices should print unless we gap over this high or gap up and trade over it promptly after trading begins. There are a number of new sell signals despite the new high today, and I think it's important to review them to see how the new high influences our long-term prediction. Well, I said I really didn't really care if a new high was hit. What was important to me was this TD trend line. We'd have to break over it and hold it at the open of the following day's trade. Well, we closed right on it, so the sell signal remains intact. We have to move this up a little bit because you measure the predicted drop from this TD trend line. It's now about 1975. Then we had this wonderful wave count. I had wave A, which ended here, equal to wave C. What a beautiful thing. Well, this kind of kills that count, but you don't have to fiddle with it too much because this rally here could be wave C, which is again equal to wave A. If that's the count, here's your A. B has this A, B, C. B waves can go anywhere, so a friend of mine taught me. And there's your wave C. Now, you have to move the trend line up to here, not trend line, the length of the drop up to there. And what's interesting is if we're done with the rally right here, the price target is right at a 50% retracement of the whole rally, which would be a beautiful thing if it happened. This is a target. It isn't a stop and reverse level, but a 50% retracement is pretty common. We now have bar 13 of a sequential sell signal on the 130-minute chart. We had a sequential sell on the 78-minute chart that didn't pay off, but now we have a 9-13-9 sequential sell, which is usually more powerful. And look how we started dropping right when we hit it. In alignment with those, here's a 9-13-9 sequential sell on the 65-minute chart. And in alignment with that, here's a sequential and a combo sell signal ending right at the top on the 30-minute chart. So we have multiple demarked sell signals all in alignment. All we have to do is avoid taking out this high tomorrow, and we could be in for a drop targeting 1975, which is a pretty good sized drop. So that the call for tomorrow is, unless we have a quick trade over this high, lower prices should be coming. We have a number of MEJT targets. We have 7 failed targets since early this year compared to 21 for the previous 13 and a half years, I think the odds are pretty good we're not going to be left with 7 failed targets very much longer. And that's today's call.